progress.
Go, we're recording. There we go.
All right. No introduction and explanation of the process, or go straight to roll call?
Either one.
Okay, roll call. Larry?
He's here.
I see you. Trish Bartel, I see. Sue Morgenthaler?
Yes.
Yes. Lynette Ternorsky? Yes. Yael?
Yes.
Yes. Paul?
Yes.
I don't see.
He's there.
I'm going to my next screen.
No, he's on the. He just
Okay.
doesn't show himself. He's embarrassed. Okay.
Okay, Paul, Robin McPeak, absent, excused. Lindy Owen, I saw. And Julie Tacker, I don't see you yet.
I'm here.
She's
Oh, thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Now you want to go through to procedures for Zoom?
Okay, sure. I just want to tell everybody I'm co-hosting tonight. It's my first time, so be patient. I should be okay. But if you need to speak during, public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. I think it will help me to organize what I'm trying to do. It's located at the bottom of the screen in the reactions button on the right. There's a raise hand feature. And if you're on a phone, I believe it's *9. Thanks, Larry.
Okay. And for all the people from the public that are here, we do have everyone muted now, except for members of the committee. And when it's time to speak, Lynette, I see your hands up.
He needs to be unmuted.
I asked her to unmute.
Thank you.
Okay.
I couldn't before.
Sorry, Lynette.
Oh.
That's okay.
Okay. That again, members of the public, all be muted just to keep things a little bit better, not get a lot of feedback over the system here. And then when it's time to talk, again, click the raise your hand button, and we will unmute you, and then you can enter the discussion. So are there any announcements from members of the board for tonight's meeting? I'm not seeing any hand raised or anybody doing anything. The next we have is a public comment period. It's for items not on the agenda. And if somebody has any public comment they would like to make, they have 3 minutes. And again, please raise your hand or try to signify to us, that you'd like to make a comment.
I don't see anybody, Larry.
Okay. And moving along, approval of minutes from last meeting. We didn't have last meeting. It was canceled because there was nothing on the agenda. So the minutes from April's meeting needs to be approved.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from April 2021.
And I'll
Is there
second
a
it.
second on that?
Sure, I will.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. For agenda item tonight, and including public comment on this, I've been trying to get a letter from Locac, just as a statement to the community and powers that be for a while here about concerns about our water supply. Since then, we've had a presentation by the Basin Management Committee and by the Concerned Citizens Committee of Los Osos, And so I'm putting it back out there. I think it's valuable to the parties concerned that they have a statement from Locac. And so what I'm trying to do is start the letter here in land use, because I think we're all more familiar with the topic and what's going on, and be able to present it at the next Locac meeting, and get the members of Locac to support. It's just a letter of statement of concerns about our water supply. So I'm opening this up to discussion. If anyone has anyone on the board have any statements or questions, or anyone like to write the letter, it's fine. Lynette, go ahead.
Hi, Larry. I volunteered to help you write the letter before. And while we have Charlie Cody here, I would like to hear his opinion. He is one of the water purveyors. I mean, he represents one of the water companies, and he's on the Basin Management Committee. So I would like to hear what he has to say.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Larry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So Charlie, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Can you?
Do you have a specific question? This is Charles.
Sure. How is it going with you and the other water purveyors? I know you guys and staff also are trying to get your thoughts together to write a letter, just like we want to write a letter about this. Have you progressed to where you are in agreement over what you want to say?
The three water purveyors are working now to write a joint letter signed by the three water purveyors with regard to ADU permitting over the Los Osos water basin. The three water purveyors have a general consensus agreement on most aspects of this issue.
Charlie, you're cutting out. Are we losing you, or?
No, I'm sorry. The three water purveyors are working on a joint letter to the county regarding ADU permitting over the Los Osos water basin. And the three water purveyors share a general agreement that the conditions, this letter hasn't been drafted yet, but the three water purveyors share general opinions that conditions in the basin currently aren't conducive to permitting any development which would cause an increase in water production out of the basin.
Okay, Charlie, I've got a question for you. Again, in land use here, and Lindy, I see your hand up, so we will get to you. In land use here, we do get permits application for permits for building houses outside the sewer zone. What do you guys have anything to say about that, or are you directing it more towards ADUs?
Well, Charlie has muted himself, so
Oh,
somebody needs to unmute him again.
let me
No?
find him again. And oh yeah, no, okay.
Actually, I can do it too,
Yeah, sorry, I did mute myself again, and then it required me to be unmuted by the administrator. So
Okay,
the joint purveyor, joint letter that the three purveyors are working on is specific to ADU permitting over the water basin, and not to lifting the building moratorium and permitting general development.
It's not a question.
Okay, could you?
Can I just, I think that what Larry meant is that's not what he wanted to lift the moratorium. We have permits that we are asked to, that the county is giving and asking us to give for a building outside the moratorium. So what do you say to that? And we, by default, we have to recommend accepting the buildings, the permit. Or recommending to allow the permit to go through. So that is our problem. Our problem is not the moratorium area, but outside. What are we supposed to do with that?
Oh, okay. I can't speak for the Basin Management Committee or for any of the three water purveyors, even S&T Mutual Water Company. I could express my own personal opinions. I don't know how useful that would be to you. But I can say that the Basin Management Committee is not a legislative body and doesn't control permitting. We can, like you, we could give advice. And you see that we have, we're working on the annual report for 2002, and you have seen the conclusions in the Basin Management Committee's annual report, which I believe speak for themselves with regard to the sustainability of the basin for its current population. It does not appear that we are in a situation right now where the water basin is sustainable, safely sustainable, even for the current population.
But
okay,
still,
yeah, Al, I can take that as an answer, you know what I mean?
but they do advise against the ADU. So why do you feel like you would do that, but not regarding the outside of the moratorium? What is the choice? Why did you make that choice?
Yeah. What he said in his thing is that in the presentation that we had from the BMC, that the sustainability of the basin right now is in question.
Oh, I understand
So
that.
if we were to get a new application for a house, you know, we would have to take that into consideration because of the new update on the basin management from the Basin Management Committee. Is that making sense at Yale?
Well, yes, I understand that, but I don't
I
understand
don't want
why
to put
the choice was.
I don't want to put Charlie on the spot,
No, okay.
you know, because he can't talk for any of the
I understand.
the companies. He's not one, you know, he's just a person giving his opinion.
Perhaps I can add that, Yale, that the county asked the Basin Management Committee, the three water purveyors, to comment specifically on ADU permits.
That's the reason. Okay.
Yeah, so that may help.
Okay.
Okay, that's the reason.
Okay. Thanks, Charlie. Lynette, did you have anything further question to ask or?
No, I just wanted to hear from Charlie because I know he's on the Basin Management Committee and he answered all my questions.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other board members that have any questions or concerns about this letter?
Larry,
Lindy, I see Lindy.
Julie has raised her hand and Lindy is waving. So
Okay. Pick one.
Julie, I think you were first.
Okay. I have a little concern about writing the letter right now. I think I'd like to see the letter that comes from the purveyors. just so that we're on the same page with them, if that's the direction we want to go. I think from our committee, in our involvement over the past many years I've been on the committee, you know, every project that comes before us, water is a subject that we discuss. Water concerns are all mentioned in our recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. Then, you know, we have Title 19, and as a perfect example of something that I feel pretty proud of from this committee is that we pushed and pushed and pushed Morrow Shores to go 2-1 when they didn't have to, through using the Title 19. They're going before the Planning Commission this week, and that is a condition of approval now. It's written in there that they will do the 2-1. So, you know, we just saved some water, and I'm really proud of us for that. The other thing, you know, one subject that I don't think we were strong enough on, but did show up in the recommendations to the county, was the cannabis project. We said we had water concerns, and, you know, asked the county to take those into consideration. So I think we're already on record being water conscientious. And I just don't want to be off the mark by writing our own letter and saying something that's maybe out of place until we see the purveyor's letter and maybe write a letter that actually supports that exact language that they're using at the time. So I don't think we're, you know, I understand what you're saying, Larry, that you wanted to have something strong coming out of Locac, but until we hear exactly the language, I'm afraid we might, you know, just might be outside the scope of what they are doing. So those are my thoughts right now.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Lindy, you're next.
She needs to be unmuted.
Oh, God, sorry.
Hang on, Lindy.
Don't
Ask,
mute yourself.
ask to unmute.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I feel really strongly about our concerns after watching the presentation. It's pretty obvious that seawater intrusion continues. It has not improved. The nitrates are increasing. In other words, I think that we have a basin that is in trouble, and the purveyors have other interests, which are, you know, their hookups and their future development is part of their financial plan, if you want to put it that way. So it's not really in their, it's not a good position for them to come out, except things like ADUs. So I can understand their thing, but I think that we could go stronger and just explain that we have huge concerns after looking at the basin management report, and that we have no control over anything outside the water moratorium. And if you remember last meeting, Larry, you got shot down because we wanted to put a notice at the end of we didn't want to approve the project because of the extra water use. So we were trying to make a statement that we're concerned that every new development is using water. Even if they're offsetting, it isn't saving water in the basin. It's just allowing more growth on the basin with the putting the whatever different, oh, I'm forgetting what it's called, but the conservation efforts are basically just to keep the status quo. So I think that we could write a letter and just state that we're very concerned. And, you know, we go so far as if we do not see some improvements in the modeling, that maybe there should be a moratorium put on the basin. So maybe I'm the other extreme, but I think the letter could be just basically saying that for the moment, we feel uncomfortable with any new development on the basin until the situation shows some kind of improvement, that it could be sustainable for the existing population. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Lindy. That was very good. Do we have any other board members that would like to make a comment?
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Oh, Sue?
Thank you, Larry. I want to say, I think we have a responsibility to step up here and to speak out. We may be on the record as having had conversations about our concern for our water basin, but it's very clear from the new plan and the new report that somebody needs to speak up and defend the fact that we have an unsustainable water situation right now. And somebody needs to look after that. And as Charlie said, the Basin Management Committee does not make policy. They just do what the county tells them. So somebody has to speak to the county on this. And it's got to be us. We represent the community, the people of Los Osos, the people that don't have enough water, technically speaking, or may not have enough water. So I think that we need to err on whatever side of caution this is, and we need to speak up. I think it's very clear from the Los Osos Sustainability Group's presentation and the emails coming from the county that the 2-to-1 offsets are not 2-to-1 offsets. They're more like 8 or 9 to 1 offsets. I don't remember. Maybe Patrick can confirm that later on after he speaks, because I see his hand up. But we're not saving any water by doing even 2-to-1 offsets according to the data. So I really think it's on us to do this, and I'd like to see us put a letter together. I'm interested to hear what our 2 water connoisseurs are on the board, Deborah Howe and James Bishop. I know James Bishop works with water, and Deborah Howe has been doing a lot of talking to a lot of people in the county and the state, and has some interesting suggestions and ideas. So when we get to the public comments, I'm looking forward to hearing from them, and I'd really like it if we prepared a letter and stood up for this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sue. So is there anybody else on the board that has any comments or?
I have Julie now with her hand up still.
Again,
Okay,
yes, I do have it up again. I just want to point out, as because I didn't mention before, other things we can do. I'm not dissuading you from writing a letter, or us from writing a letter. My only concern is that we're ahead of the purveyors, and I really think our language should mirror what they say. With regard to what some other things we can do, I mean, we can support the changes that are coming forward for Title 19. We can ask it to be even stronger. You know, those are some things we can do. The seawater intrusion that continues to advance, I have been beating up the Los Osos CSD for 20 years over the use of the Palisades well. Please join me. The Palisades well is in the trough, and it is drawing in the lower aquifer, from the lower aquifer, and bringing in the chlorides. Something we can get behind and do some homework and research, and we can have an agenda item on the mitigated negative declaration that's going forward for the new well at Bay Ridge. That's what our job here at the land use is, to look at land uses. And yes, we're all concerned about water. I am completely on board with that. I'm not trying to dissuade you from writing a letter. I'm just wanting to shape the language. So we have lots of other things we still can do.
okay, thank you, Julie. I
have
see Lynette's hand is up, and then Yael's hand was next.
Yeah, there was just 2 things I'd like to mention. I don't characterize the water purveyors as wanting to give out will serves. There's 3 different water purveyors, and they all have a different mandate. And the only one that is forced to give out will serve letters is Golden State, and the other 2 purveyors do not have to do that, and they don't. So I don't want to have them characterize that all they want to do is make money. If they run out of water, they're not going to be making any money at all. The other thing is characterizing the Basin Management Committee as doing whatever the county says. They don't. The county is only one out of the 4 members of the Basin Management Committee. So I would just like to clarify that. And I'd also like to agree with Julie that I really think we need to see what language comes out of there. I mean, I'm totally in support of writing the letter, but I want to make sure we're using the correct language. And I think that's really important. Otherwise, we will just be pushed aside as know nothings. So I think that's really important that we hear what they have to say. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. Yael, you had your hand up, or?
I just had a quick question. Did I miss something? But on the agenda, CSD was supposed to give presentation. You probably said something and I missed it in the beginning. On the agenda, I read
Yeah.
that CSD are going to do some presentation. Am I reading it wrong?
You're reading it wrong, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry if
Oh,
I looked 6 gazillion ways to make sure that that's not what it said. The
CSD will be making formal statements.
they're creating, everybody's, writing these letters.
Oh,
And then we are in support, going to also write our own letter. That's what that was meant. Nobody's.
okay. I was kind of waiting and I didn't see.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
that's okay.
my fault.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee have any questions, comments, concerns? Sue, did I see your hand go up? And
Yeah.
Lynette?
Yeah,
And
Lynette said something that I hope that I didn't give that in that impression. Lynette, you said that we didn't want to accuse them of trying to make money and doing things. I'm not sure exactly how you put it, but I didn't mean that at all. I think it's pretty great of them to go against that philosophy, to stand up for our basin and say they need to, they need to watch it because there's no sustainability. So I just want you to know or make clear that I don't think any of us is impugning the purveyors. In fact, they are our heroes for standing up for us. So thank you.
And then Lynette, yeah, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I would just like to say for people who don't follow all this stuff, it would be useful to have some kind of a timeline for them to know when we should have this letter done. And also, it's kind of vague as to who we're sending this letter to. I think we should clarify who that is. Or letters, actually.
Okay. Lynette, I can answer part of your question right offhand. I would like to send this to all the parties that are concerned with Los Osos, and that's from the Coastal Commission, Board of Supervisors, Planning Department, who else is involved? The Regional Water Board, to the BMC, to everybody, because they're all involved in our basin, and I guess all the government agencies that are involved in our basin and our community should receive this letter. It should be made available to them, so everyone knows what the community feels like. As for and it's my personal opinion on the water purveyors. And I'm hoping that the one water purveyor, for-profit water purveyors, we can always get water. It depends on how much, it's going to cost the people here. We could put in a $200 million pipeline to somewhere and get water, that's going to cost all the people that live here a fortune, and so it's a question that I do have. I was here during the time when they wanted to hook up state water, and state water cost about as much as our new sewer plant did at that time. So I was opposed to it. I didn't want to put that burden on the community of having to pay, you know, the sewer bill and the water bill. So it is my one concern. I think the CSD is more accountable to the locals and the county and stuff, and I could be wrong on this. And the little water company is who they are, you know, but one of the companies is a for-profit company. And if it costs them $100 million to get water, they just have to pass that on to their customers. And I'm hoping they don't. I hope we find out other solutions and other ways of solving this. But that's just my thoughts on trying to answer both those questions. Any other comment from members of the board?
Larry, we have
Trish.
Paul. And then
Okay, Trish.
Okay, one of the questions I have is at the last Locac meeting, I think it was, they talked about the CARES money. I think it was Blake that was discussing it. And the CARES money is like $55 million that is for infrastructure, including sewer and water. I know that Bruce Gibson and John Pashong are going to be two of the supervisors that are going to be carving up that money. And they have a meeting going on, financial meeting, June 14th through the 16th. So I think one of the reasons I thought it was very important to get this letter out sooner than later is that we could have the letter prior to the supervisors meeting and ask for some of this money that could go to the basin management group or committee, sorry, so that we can get something more than just statistics on what's going on with the aquifer, and we can actually get some solutions that we desperately need right now within the basin management group. So if we continue to wait and wordsmith and wait for Locac, we're going to miss this window of the supervisors meeting the 14th through the 16th to discuss disbursement of funds for this 55 million for the unincorporated areas, which we are. So that was pretty much my main thing. And for the fact that we're also the second largest population center in the unincorporated areas, we should be able to get some of this money. But if we continue to wait and wordsmith, it might not happen.
It's a very, very good point, Trish. And then there was Paul.
I am appearing. Yeah, hi. Thanks, Trish. That was really well said. I support that 100%. I just have a question. Does anybody know, does the county have any obligation to the residents in its constituency to provide them with services like that? I've always wondered, and I really don't understand that. Thanks.
That's a good question. I don't know. I can't even answer that. I don't think
maybe
so.
somebody has some input. Maybe Patrick knows about that. I know he's very knowledgeable about this. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Lindy, I see your hands up. Unmute. We got to unmute you.
sorry, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was the one that suggested that the for-profit purveyor, it's in their, that's their job, is to sell water. But I do really appreciate that they've stood up. But I think the letter needs to be drafted, and I'd be glad to help with it, so that we can get it started. It does not have to be presented till it's been vetted by everybody, and we can add in some of the suggestions that were added in. As far as Trish's suggestion about getting in our comments for the CARES funding that might be coming through, I'm not sure if that's us or if that, maybe Charlie can discuss whether that's something that the Basin Management Group should be doing, and then we could sign on as supporters. So that's what, a week away, or is that July? I can remember. So, but I think we can rough draft something. It always helps to start with a letter, and we can fine tune it and make it what we want by the time we're ready to present it. So I I like Lynette suggesting we get a timeline going. So that's all.
Okay, Sue, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, Lindy, it's June 14th, when this money is going to be doled out, June 14th through the 16th. And maybe, maybe we don't shoot the whole wad now, but we at least got to get something in and let them know that we need help. And the only, it's got to come from someplace. So I think that whatever we decide to write, we have to write something and let them know that they have this issue that we want them to deal with. We can't let this moment go by. I feel real strongly about that.
Okay, Lynette, I see your hands up.
We can't write a letter as Locac, only as our committee, because it would have to go through Locac at the end of the month, on the fourth Thursday of the month, which I believe is about a week after they have this meeting. So we can draft a letter as a committee, but we can't represent Locac.
We can always, if we can draft a letter, we can call an emergency meeting of Locac. We have it in our bylaws. We can do that. And so we have a mechanism to get their approval or disapproval, but we have a mechanism to present it to them beforehand.
Okay. Yale, did I see your hand go up or?
No, I just wanted to
No.
say the same thing.
Okay. Anyone else on the committee? Comments, questions?
I just want to strengthen the idea that we do need to send them a letter by that time, because if you're not at least voicing your opinion, you would you would not be under consideration. We still may not be under consideration, but at least we'll make our voice known.
Well, I'm going to put this out there. Do we want to, they were asking for a timeline, give a timeline of the 12th of June, which is a Saturday, this coming Saturday. Whoa, the meeting's the next. I don't know if we can get a letter done by then.
Well, we can, Larry, if we work on it.
Okay. Well, do we want to put that down as a timeline to be able to present at least a draft letter?
Yep.
I'll put this out to a vote, set a timeline of the meeting is the 16th?
14.
When was the 14th? That's a Monday. So we haven't until this coming weekend to come up with the letter. I'll put it out there. All those in favor of getting a letter in draft form, at least.
We
able
need
to
to get the
send-
public comments first.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for correcting me on that. Let's. Deborah. Hi.
Did
You're muted.
Who do you want
Can
to
you-
talk to, Larry?
I see Deborah Howell
Okay.
raised her hand.
All right.
I'm not on the committee, so this would be under public comment, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I'm opening it up to the public.
Okay, all right, great. So I am here as a way to educate myself on these matters. I am just starting out in getting into some very complicated issues. So a couple of things I want to talk about. Number one, the CARES Act money, the 55 million. There is specifically money in there for water. It's unclear if it's water quality or making water connections. CSD has two projects. There's one project for $1.5 million to establish a well in the lower aquifer. And then there's another project that requires an additional $400,000 for an upper well. That's the program A. They're going after this money and we need to support them so that they can get that money funded and get those projects done. Following up on that, I want to bring to your attention that Governor Newsom has set aside $1.3 billion of money specifically for drinking water and for wastewater. And this is an opportunity, in my opinion, which it only comes around every 100 years for us to participate in a large infrastructure project. Don't ask me what that would be, but whatever it is, we need to, figure it out, and we need to make sure we get it done with this opportunity. And then finally, regarding the letter, which is what you're specifically talking about, one of the things I think is important is to ask questions before we make a statement. I hear Lynette say we should hear what the BMC has to say so we can follow in their footsteps. But in the meantime, we can certainly send a letter and say, ask the county, why are you issuing permits when the latest annual report is showing no improvement in the basin and in seawater intrusion? Ask them to explain why they're doing that. And I would also like to know what the county is doing, what they can do, and what they will do to make the unmetered water users, who represent 50% of the basin users, to support both financially and through conservation the health of the basin. And let's pose some questions to the county so that they can come back with some answers, and then we can respond with a letter of position.
It's great.
So Deborah, are you speaking about two letters? One to support the CSD in their trying to acquire this $500,000 for their
Absolutely.
projects, and then another letter then that we would.
Well, it's two different issues, really. So we have the CARES money, which is coming up very quickly, but then also there's the issue of the overall health of the basin. And so on the health of the basin, I have questions about why is the county doing what they're doing and how they're doing it, and what are they going to do differently. But as far as the CSD money, I think we need to find out from the CSD, how can we support them? And then we can do what's in their best interest to support them in getting that money, whether it's individual letters or whether it's a group letter from Locac or whatever. You know, I don't know what the best approach is, but you know, I'm certainly in favor of supporting them. And as far as number of letters, I would say a letter to the county asking questions, and then after the BMC, because clearly they haven't even started drafting their letter, that letter is not going to be done before this meeting of the CARES money, that we could follow up with a second letter that more clearly states our position, given both the information we've gotten back from the county and also what we see in the BMC letter, what they're writing to the county, so we can be on the same page and using the same language. I agree with Lynette on that.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Next, I saw Patrick had his hand up.
Okay, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so many questions have come in since I put my hand up. One thing, just to respond to Deborah there, I think actually the money that is being requested should be requested pretty much from the BMC, and it should support all of the different purveyors, because they've all got projects that need to get done and things to make their water that they are serving in a much cleaner situation. So it shouldn't just be for the CSD, though they're doing several of the projects that really need to get done. Secondly, regarding the letter, there is already a letter that you wrote, and it was on the agenda, I think it was last time, which I thought was a very excellent letter. And several of your board members thought maybe it was too supportive of having a moratorium. But they both said, well, let's wait until we see what the BMC is going to say at Locac. Well, you heard what the BMC already said. So now you're saying, well, let's wait and see what the purveyor's letter is going to be. Well, I think Mr. Cody already said that they're in agreement that the ADUs, which is what they're having to respond to right now, there is not enough water in the basin. It is not sustainable for the current population. And they are in support of not having any further ADUs built within the moratorium area. As far as houses outside the moratorium area, asking the county, why are you permitting that, isn't really going to give us any kind of information other than, well, we think there's enough water possibly, or, I don't know what Mr. Gibson or the county is thinking, but they all know that we are in overdraft situation. We are a level 3 severity. So we need to really stand strong as a community and let them know that we want to stop any water required projects over our basin until the basin can be shown it is sustainable. So those are the comments. Paul asked something and I didn't hear that. So if he's still there and would like to ask me, I'd be happy to answer if I can.
Yeah, do you know what obligation, if any, the county has to its constituents to provide resources like water?
Well, the county doesn't provide water. The purveyors provide the water. And the purveyors are required to provide water to whoever the county is supposedly giving permits to. And as it was pointed out, several of the surveyors or the purveyors are not giving will serve letters. Golden State pretty feels that it has to do that. The county has land use authority, and that's what I think a comment was, is that the purveyors do what the county says. Well, they do in the sense that the county will tell them what permits can be issued and which ones can't. And the purveyors don't really have any choice in what permits are being issued, but they have a choice, or some of them do, to not issue with the will serve letters. But yes, if we don't have the water, and they are required to make the basin sustainable for the current population. So that's pretty much written in the basin management plan.
Thank you, Patrick. I see Deborah's got her hand up again.
James Bishop has his hand up, Larry.
Oh, okay. Let's go to James, then Deborah, you'll be next.
Hi, everyone. My name is James. I'm a new member to Locac, and like Deborah, I'm tuning into this meeting to get a feel for the different committees. But I also serve on the Utilities Advisory Committee, so I'm a little bit tuned into what the CSD is doing and water operations with that regard. One of the things in this conversation tonight, I was having a little bit of a problem following exactly what it is the group is discussing. And I think it may be partially because different people are discussing different things. The water purveyors are writing a letter that is not supporting the growth of ADUs. And I get the impression that some people on the committee are concerned more about growth outside the prohibition area. So waiting for a letter from the water purveyors won't provide any information relevant to growth outside the prohibition area. And I guess the other issue is this stimulus money that's coming in a couple of weeks. That seems like maybe even a third issue separate from the water supply concerns. That money may provide some water supply infrastructure, or maybe the ability to move infrastructure around the basin, which may make it more sustainable, but is really kind of a separate issue from growth. So I think it might benefit the conversation if we figure out exactly what it is the group wants to write the letter about and what it is the focus is here. So I guess that would be my comment. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, James. Deborah, you had your hand up next, I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, James, I agree with you. It gets muddied if we are trying to put too many things in the letter. And I agree that we should be very clear about what we want the letter to accomplish. I want to respond to what Patrick said about money going to the BMC. And Charlie, please correct me if I get this wrong, but the BMC cannot take money. They do not have a bank account. It's not possible for them to take money. That if money is given, it has to be granted to the purveyors. And I suspect that the money would have to be given for a specific project. And it couldn't just be, here, we're just going to give you some money, figure out what to do with it. And that's why I suggested we support the CSD programs, because those are the ones I know. If S&T has a project and if Golden State has a project, I would support those as well. But when I look on the annual report that we got last at the Locac meeting, many of those projects are completed. So if there are other projects in the pipeline, let's hear what they are and support those as well. There's no reason to delay, in my opinion, any of these projects.
Okay, thank you on that. I'm sure that's bringing up a few more questions. I'd like to say the letter that I was asking for originally, I want to say is a general letter. I think I like both Deborah's and the gentleman that just talked, the new member.
James.
Of supporting the CSD and supporting the BMC in their endeavors to try to come to some kind of place, where our water is secure, and so yes, I don't want that included in the letter I'm talking about. I just want the letter I'm talking about is just a general broad statement. We're concerned about our water supply, and we support all the efforts in trying to from all the organizations in trying to accomplish this. So the Basin Management Committee we support this meeting coming up for the money to help the CSD with the well and the other projects they have, to tell the county, maybe we should slow down on building ADUs inside the sewer area, and then also building new houses outside the sewer area. Any house that affects the water basin of Los Osos, come on, county, just hold off on it until, we find out if some of this is working or not. Instead of going ahead like we have been, and it hasn't been much, we haven't built hundreds of houses, but every year, we add another 4 or 5 to the list. And I think the numbers are going. So do I make myself more clear on this letter? I don't want it to cover everything, just a broad statement of our concern about our water supply. Anybody have any public members want to make any comments or chime in on this?
Larry,
Lindy, I see your hands up.
we have a list, and Yael is next.
Okay, go ahead.
I also think that the letter should be general, but what I think it should be, since money is coming in for infrastructure, and I know it's too soon, we're not ready, nobody is ready with any plan to actually capitalize on the money, but we have to start somewhere. If they cannot have it both, basically, we have to let the county know, the supervisors that's sitting on the money, with a finger on the money, we have to let them know we cannot have it both ways. You either want development, then you have to bring in water, because right now we don't have water. So you cannot have it both ways. If you really want us to develop here, then you'll have to think about infrastructure and bringing water in, because there is no water. And if they're not going to use the money for infrastructure to bring water in, which I doubt that they will not, that I am quite sure they will not, then we do really need to self-impose a moratorium on the whole area, not just the sewer area, but the whole area until the basin and water is improving. So it should be kind of clear. This is our concern. That is what we think. That's
Okay,
all.
thank you.
Okay, let me see who's next. Dave and Bev are next. I'm asking them to unmute.
Hi, this is Dave Bolus. I was at the, or, by Zoom, was at the meeting last week. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I was at the meeting of Locac and heard the presentations that were made there. And maybe some of you can explain to me something that that I came away from that meeting with as an understanding that would help to explain why anybody being concerned about sustainability right now is anything that we need to worry about. Because my understanding from what was presented at that meeting was that it's expected that chlorides and nitrates would get worse right now. And that so what we're waiting for is for a big pile of water at Binscarth to shove out the chlorides and dilute out the nitrates, and then everything will be okay. So the impression I had was that we really don't need to be concerned about what things look like now. Everything's going to be just fine. So that's, I mean, my question is simply, is our letter simply saying, we don't understand the situation, or is it that I don't understand the situation? Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Okay, nobody has any comments to answer him. If not, I guess Julie's up next.
So Lindy is.
Here I am.
There's.
Thank you very
Why
much.
are you muting yourself, Lindy?
Excuse me?
No, nothing.
Okay. I think Dave's comments were really good. Thank you, Dave. I agree that the presentation wasn't as dire as some of the talk that we've been hearing. My comment here at this point, because I've heard you talk a lot about the infrastructure money coming down from the state. I don't know if you all know, or apparently some of you don't, but certainly the county is looking out for us with regard to that money. And my understanding is that they are looking to put some money into Los Osos. They are going to put it into the sewer. And the sewer, being the largest tool in the toolbox for water management, and it's already up and running, it makes sense that that money would go there to offset the operating costs. So, that facility is treating 500,000 gallons a day, putting it back in the ground somewhere. So while we don't like it, I don't like the idea that the sewer takes the money. It is the only project that's technically shovel ready because it's already up and running. They've loaned us money. The county's loaned us money to pay for the operations. They're probably paying themselves back before the rate increase actually is implemented, because they've been, you'll recall, we had the 218, but it was held off by the COVID emergency, and they have not raised the rates yet. They have been paying our debt and fronting us that money, so they're going to pay themselves back. But that's where they're looking first. The county looks out for the county. So that's why I think listening to what the purveyors have to say first makes a lot more sense. But if you do what you want to do.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay, Patrick is up next. Patrick, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Several comments, of course. One is that the ADUs are not only being built around the moratorium area, but they're also being built outside of the moratorium area. So when the purveyors comment on the ADUs, it'll be including outside the moratorium area also. But if you think that the basin is not sustainable for ADUs, then obviously the whole basin is not sustainable for anything as far as water demand goes. And I think that statement will probably be pretty strong that the purveyors come up with. At least we're hoping that will be. Dave's comment though regarding the presentation by Dan Heimel for the annual report, there was a graph that I think he's referring to that shows what they were expecting the water to be doing, and that it was going to take 7 years to 10 years before the chlorides and the nitrates started dropping down, or the water level started going up again. Well, it's been 6 years. And also in that graph, it showed also that in I think it was 17, 18, things actually looked really good, improving. That was not in their estimation. They didn't think things were going to get better that soon. But then all of a sudden it turned south and started getting really bad again. And now it's a big concern for them, saying that, well, maybe the graph isn't really correct, or, we're still online and this is just what it's supposed to be doing. But it didn't do that when it was looking really good, when it wasn't supposed to, supposedly. We are in a lot of hurt right now as far as the basin goes. And I think what the BMC has showed us and what we presented in both of our presentations to Locac and to the Land Use Committee, we're not making things up. Those were all pretty much statistics and facts that we were trying to show you. So that's all I have to say at this point. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.
Larry, I'm next here. I just wanted to
Okay.
say, Dave, Patrick, what he said is true, that there was a lot of data presented at the meeting, and some people were sort of taking from it that everything was fine, and then a lot of people were taking from it that everything wasn't fine. So I think Patrick just made a really good statement there. Anyway, I want to say in regards to Larry, your question about a letter, perhaps we could consider doing 2 letters. One, just a very simple short letter in support of the CDC's request, the CSD's request for the money for their wells that's due on June 14th, just in support of that. And then we work on a letter, maybe ask a few people that are willing to work on this, maybe Deborah, because she's been doing so much research on this. But if we could get people together to write a very intelligent letter and a good letter based on whatever we need to know, at the time. So I would like to suggest, Larry, when we get to that point, would you consider doing something like that?
Okay, thank you.
And then Lindy had her hand up. I'm sorry, Lindy, I didn't see that. And I'll ask you to unmute. Sorry.
Just a couple of things after listening to everybody's comments. First, I wanted to let Dave know that basically what the presentation is based on modeling and hopes that what actions have been taken, and if you can get the water that's being put up on if you can get that water to go down and push the salt water out, so a lot of it's a gamble. It's based on engineering and modeling. So that's where the concern is it hasn't shown a lot of improvement in the 6 and 7 years. So anyway, that was just a comment to Dave about that. Why we're concerned is it's better to err on the side of caution. There is discussion about a possibility of a pipeline that would hook us over to Morro Bay and let Nacimiento and State Water come in. As you all know, that will just add another 10 to 20% to our monthly costs and allow new growth, but we'll be paying for it along with new development. This letter that's going to go in about the CARES package on Monday, it needs to go in like on Wednesday. I don't know if we think that we could send it Sunday night and it's going to have any value. So I think we either get on it. I like the idea of supporting the CSD and supporting a possibility of putting meters on the private wells. But I kind of think the BMC should have been the ones that took the lead to say we've got numerous projects by our purveyors and members, because it's the county that would be putting the meters on the wells. So anyway, I still support that we write the letter. Just it can take a little time about future development and you know, even say that we're going to have to not support approval of projects because of this one factor is we don't know how much water is available to be used right now. So, but that other letter needs to get written very soon, and it could be brief in support of what the CSD is doing. Anyway, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Lindy.
Dave and Bev, Dave's next.
Hi, thank you to Patrick and Lindy for adding something there. And I think my point in asking that was, I don't want to have our letter be, or your letter simply be dismissed like, oh, they don't understand the situation. I mean, it seems to me that if in fact we're talking about modeling versus what's really happening out there, and keeping our fingers crossed for the model to kick in at some point, that's part of your letter. That's something that needs to be emphasized. So I don't want the letter to simply be dismissed in terms of, oh, they don't understand, the model says everything's okay, and basically be ignored. So that's the reason I brought it up.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yael is next.
Well, if the model will not work if we don't get water. So I think the model will probably fail. And I do think we should raise the alarm about future development and future basin, the health of the basin. And that if they're talking about infrastructure, and if Lindy is correct that there is some talk about it already, then we should use it. I don't know what is the information that Lindy mentioned, and somebody needs to find out the details, because if we get money coming in for infrastructure, then we don't have to pay for it. But if later we say, oh, well, wait, we don't want to die, we don't want to dry up here, we need water, then we definitely will have to pay for that. So if somebody can do the research, if anybody here knows what Lindy was talking about, Lindy, if you know, or can guide us somewhere, we need to start hammering on that, because one day we may need it. I mean, nobody wants to think about it, but when there is money, then you have to start thinking really quickly how to use it. Otherwise, we'll have to pay from our pockets.
I guess
Okay,
I'm next.
thank you.
I just wanted to add to what I was saying before, and Larry, if you were to consider the two different letters. And I heard tonight somebody say that we have to we have to support these houses that come through the county to be built because we have to, but we don't have to. We're not a legal body. When we see somebody requesting to build a house or an ADU, we can say no if it's what we feel should happen. That's what we're all about. We're all about telling the county what we, the community, say. And if the community is largely feeling that our water supply is in dire straits and we need to stop using water until we know what's going to happen, then we should just say no based on the fact that our water supply is not proving to be sustainable at this moment. We are not going to approve construction. We can do that. And I really hope that we'll consider doing something like that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I see Lynette has her hand up.
Yeah, this is something that Julie always brings up, and I think she's absolutely right. We can say no, but the county overrides what we are going to say if we say no, because they're going to do it anyway, because that's what's on the books. So what Julie says, and what I agree with completely, is that we can add conditions to the the permit. We can suggest conditions so we don't totally lose out altogether. And maybe Julie can say it better than me. But I think that's something, it's when you just say no and you know you're going to be overruled, why don't you say, we'd like to see it this way instead of just, we're not going to say yes, but we're going to say, let's condition it this way.
How many conditions are you gonna dream up, you know? Okay. It's not bad.
Okay.
I think Lindy has her hand up.
Um,
Oh, gosh, I have to unpause. Oh, sorry, I have to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. It's a bit of a rumor about a pipeline coming from Morro Bay, but it was originally planned that we might have a pipeline coming from San Luis out. So, and I think the estimate was 10 million years ago. So it is being brought up in conversation, I believe. And so that's where I got it from. A little bit of a rumor, but it's still something to consider. And then the idea of conditioning, how about a condition that goes on every brand new property and that has, if they go over their annual expected use, that they have a big penalty or something, because we have no control over new development that meets the Title 9 or Title 16. We have no control over that. So, you know, the idea that little bits are just being given out and we're assuming that everybody's a good citizen and a water protector is kind of naive. And so, and then we did have at that last meeting, it was an approval on a project that we went ahead and felt that the developer or the owner had the right to build the house, but we could not support it. So there's two different things. The development may be acceptable in a good water situation. It's not acceptable if we are concerned about the sustainability of our basin. So we got two different things going. You can condition them, but I don't see, unless you put a condition that says that you prove that you're not going to use excess water, and that would, you know, I don't think you can do that. So.
Okay, I think, Lindy, thank you. I think we're getting a little off topic here. You know, and I think they're all valid discussions. What I'd like to, were there more comments from any members of the public or Susan that I'm missing? I'm not seeing any.
Right now, Larry.
Okay. Okay, so where I'm at right now, I just like to ask Lynette, because she volunteered to help write the letter, and Lindy. And then Trish, I would like to find out from this group that's meeting the 14th, Monday, for the money, to find out how we can support them. You know, maybe we don't even need a letter.
Okay.
You know,
What?
find, you know, how we can support them or encourage, you know, to give more value. I would also like to find out from the Basin Management Committee and the CSD and Golden State and the Little Water Company how we can support their endeavors, how Locac as a organization can support their endeavors, whether they would think a letter would be a good thing or to get every member to write a letter would be a good thing. You know, and those are two different things. So we're not writing 100 different letters, you know, or you know, and then I still think in for me, my letter, I don't want a letter. I just want a statement. We're concerned about our water that we could then pass on to everybody else. You know, not just the BMC saying that, you know, concerned about the water, or a water company or a developer saying, you know, well, there's no problem. You know, it's just, and then we'll take each project individually. Is that clearing up some of this, or giving, you know, what is it a clear path, or is it still mumble jumble?
something.
I'm not getting any feedback. I don't know.
I think Yael has a question, Larry.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking that when you said that we should not say anything for the meeting on 14, that this is, to me, it doesn't sound right. And we don't need the whole Locac. Even if we write a strong letter from us, we are at a table. Somebody there from us has to sit at the table in the way of a letter. If you're not at the table, nobody knows you exist even. So we have to make a strong statement as possible vis-a-vis the money that's coming in, so that they know that we are worried about our basin health, and that we are going to slow down development or stop it, or that the money needs to be used for infrastructure to bring water. Or supporting the CSD. I mean, we can make a list of everything that we said here for the CSD and for the other purveyors, whatever projects they have, maybe it can be used for that. But in general, we have to make our view known to the supervisors. These are the supervisors. They have the finger on the money. They have to know that we need help. If we don't say we need help, they don't know we need help. And we can do everything else too. I mean, we don't have to recommend building any new development. That's okay. We can do that. They may or may not accept it. They probably will not, and that's okay. We've done it in other areas, and we sometimes prevail and sometimes we don't. But I think with the supervisor meeting, I did not realize it's on the 14th. I mean,
This is the 14th. Is not the supervisor meeting.
Isn't it Gibson and Bichon?
It is their, the supervisors are getting together for financial meetings from the
Talk about
14th to
money.
the 16th.
So if if they don't hear from us, we are not there. We don't exist.
Okay, but that's what all I'm trying to say is I want to find out the best way to communicate to them. I'm not saying not to communicate.
Write a strong letter from land use committee. What else can we do right now? Really very little between now and Monday.
Lynette, go ahead.
Larry clarified it really well. He's asking Trish to get the particulars of how to address this. So I think we should just stick with what Larry has wanted, and Trish will get him the information then.
Well, Yale, if they want a letter, if they say yes, a letter from land use would be very valuable. I will get them a letter, and get everyone on the board here to look at the letter, and we will send the letter. I'm not saying.
What else can they ask for? There's nothing else I think that Trish
maybe they
will
want
go ahead and do it, but I think that between now and Monday, there's really not much we can do.
Okay, we'll find out, and I'll keep you informed. Okay.
All of us, keep us all informed.
Everybody informed. Everyone will know everything that I'm doing and trying to handle. Wait a minute.
So are we going to talk about the letter, or are we going to wait?
Give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay. So Yale, to answer your question, and I don't think I can answer it right now. I need a day or two to find out the best way to communicate. If it's a letter, I will publicly work on a letter that all of you can see that I'm working on, and make comments on it and corrections to it, and get it to them in time for their meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
For my experience with
if they say call, it's better for everybody to call in, or for one of us as a representative to call in. I will do it that way. I will do it whatever way we find is best to communicate. I use the word letter, because I'm not a big politician. I communicate people with text, emails, and Zoom. And when I have an opportunity to talk with them face to face. So I don't know which one I'm going to use, but I will find out from them which is the best. And we will do it that way. If they want us to come in on their Zoom meeting, we'll do that too. Any other questions or comments?
I have a quick one.
Yes, Julie.
So I believe that Monday's meeting is the regular budget hearings. And
Yeah.
so I don't know that this is an appropriate time to weigh in on that, but it sounds like this is the direction the committee's going to go. So I would like to not be attached to the letter or the correspondence, whatever is decided to be sent to the county. So when you sign the letter, the Locac Land Use
We will.
Advisory Committee,
Yes.
either
We will make sure
reflect
that.
a vote that I'm in dissent or simply list everybody's name and don't put mine on there.
Okay. Yes, Julie. I do respect everybody's wish for privacy and concerns. I would not in any way include somebody that didn't want to be included. Okay.
Larry, we have
Okay.
Paul,
Okay.
and then we have Patrick. Paul, you're muted.
Yeah, thanks. This is just something I just think we should hold for future discussion. I just have the question of should the community be pursuing the idea of alternative water sources, not so that we can have more development, but if that would be the way to keep our basin sustainable, because we may not be able to keep it sustainable, absent development anyway. So I just think there's a discussion that I don't even know where it should be had. I just think it would be something worth doing as to whether or not, sorry, I'm being a little circuitous here, whether or not there should be, research or whatever into bringing in water so that we have a sustainable water supply. Not just so we can have more development, but so we can actually have a sustainable water supply. Thanks.
And then I'll tack onto that. If we have a sustainable water supply and there is enough water for future growth, we have some people that have owned vacant land here for years that would like to move here. I don't want to see houses all the way up Los Osos Valley Road all the way to San Luis. But I think in our little community, if there is extra water and enough to support them, I would go for a very sustainable, controlled growth.
Yeah, what I'm saying, there was some some comments expressed that if you're brought in water, it would mean development. I'm not strictly opposed to any development either, but I'm just wondering if, absent any development, just so we can have sustainability for what's here now,
yeah,
might importing water be something we need to do, regardless of how much conservation and how much building we don't do and all of that. I mean, we may still be in trouble.
Yeah, Paul, this would be a very good question for discussion with the Basin Management Committee.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for discussion. I was asking if sometime we should pursue that. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question for them because I'm sure they are looking at alternatives if need be.
Thanks.
And that would be very good to find out from them what their thoughts and opinions are. Lynette, did I see a hand up?
Larry, I'm sorry, Lynette. Patrick was next.
Oh, Patrick, I'm sorry.
And then Lynette and Julie, and then Lisa Danker.
Oh, Okay,
Oh, so I have to unmute you. Sorry, Patrick.
Thank you. I did speak to the county last week, and you might want to check on this because I'm not absolutely sure, but they did say in my conversation that the conversation on the CARES money is going to be on the 15th at the end of the session. It is a budget meeting. They're talking about the budgets and everything, and that's when I was told it was going to be discussed on the 15th. But call the county and check out that to see. I just want to remind everybody again, several, I think, meetings ago with Land Use Committee, you voted on a letter, and Locac was supposed to support that letter. It was in the agenda package. It was already written. I thought it was a really good letter. Several other people that were at that meeting thought it was a really good letter also. You might want to revisit that letter since it's already written, and maybe take some things out of it or add some things to it. But you do have a letter that you could use already. Thank you.
thank you, Patrick. That's a great start.
Okay, Julie was next. And apparently Julie's not there. So Lisa Danker, I will ask you to unmute. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynette. Sorry, Lynette's first.
Thank you. The Basin Management Committee has discussed supplemental water, and Julie might be able to elaborate on that, or maybe Charlie Coate wants to jump in.
Okay, yes, if you want, it is one of the tools in the basin management. I forgot the name. Basin management plan. It is explored. We've had many tech memos, all kinds of information on it. If the basin is as dire as some are portraying it, perhaps it's time to revisit that and take a look at it, because it is one of the tools in the toolbox. I don't know what else I can say for you, Lynette.
Yeah, Julie, that's why I said it's a good another topic, for another night, or maybe I can get the base management to give us a presentation
Well, but
on.
Larry, I think the point is if you're either asking for money or asking for, the whole broad spectrum of water sustainability, that is one of the tools.
Yes,
And if you need money for it, then make that part of the request.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have Lisa Danker now, and I will ask her to unmute.
Yeah, hello, everybody. I really wanted to say, being a community member and hearing you guys talk about the many possible letters, right around the time when Deborah was speaking earlier in the meeting, there was a lot of clarity on those letters. It sounded like maybe it was 3 different letters, and it made a lot of sense in that moment. I can't now recall what they were. I know that the minutes were being taken, so they're logged. But there was a lot of clarity around that point in the meeting about all of those letters. And it sounded right just listening in. And I really appreciate your effort in representing the community and taking not just a stand. It's more of I think it's been said many times, but for example, if Bruce Gibson isn't hearing our concerns and needs and wants, we can really be forgotten. And we see that all the time, even with things that we ask for. So it's very hard to get things for Los Osos to begin with. So this just seems so critical what you're all doing, and I want to really thank you. My other point is the whole thing about ag, which hasn't really been talked about, and there's been so much educating going on. I'm wondering if the Regional Water Board could have someone at a meeting and talk about the new ag standards that were just released, since we're downstream from that. And that must have a huge effect on the quality of our water. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lindy, we have Lindy's hand up.
Mute,
Oh, yeah.
Lindy.
Sorry.
Mute.
Lindy, don't mute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to let everybody know that we should all be signed up to the Basin Management Committee meetings. They're usually the third Wednesday of every month at 1:30. They're interesting. Most of the subject matter about what our future water supply is should be brought up at those meetings. They don't get a lot of input from the public, so I would urge everybody to contact them through the county website. I believe you can find them, Los Osos Basin Management Committee, and get on the email list so that you're notified when the hearings come up. And I mean, we should all be attending those. The concerns are obvious from everybody, but I don't think that's our purview to discuss all that. I think attending the meetings and having input and learning more is the direction that we could all, learn a lot from. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. I find that middle of the afternoon meetings are real hard, but I can always watch them on their recording thing. Okay, well, I think we've kind of gone full circle on this, covered a lot of topics. I'm at a loss what to do now, it's so much has been covered. I would still like to find out for Tuesday's meeting on the 15th, what's the best way to show support. I can't name all the projects. I don't know what all the projects are. I know what some of them are. But just show us support for any of their budgeting to help us with our water. And again, how to support the other agencies involved and to let county know that there is a concern. A short letter doesn't have to go into details. I'm gonna look at that one Patrick told me to look at, and probably cross half of it out, but just a statement letter. And if that's okay with everybody, we'll just keep working on it. Susan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if then I could make a motion to say that I think, Larry, you said that you and maybe Trish could find out how, I'm rambling here. I should make a motion to say that Trish and you will find out how we can support the requests the CSD making at this CARES negotiation, and we could put something together and present it, to everybody over the email and see if we can't get just a short, like you said, a short, meaningful letter that's going to at least show that we care and want to support this.
Okay.
Clarification, please. How is the CSD get in here, back in here?
They're poor. They have one of the projects
So only
that
support
they're
for one
asking
of
money
their
for.
So
No,
supporting only.
No,
they're
no.
going to look into it and find out how we support them with individual group letters, find out what the endeavors of the purveyors are that are going after this money, to find out what the situation is, basically. I guess that's a better way to put it. To find out what the
They have a list of projects that they're going to go ask about to be supported.
So I agree that are we discussing your motion? I mean, is that an official discussion of the motion? Because I have a question. Can we also add that we also express our own concern regarding, I mean, we want to support their project, but we also want to express our concern that while we are expected to approve or recommend building new construction, we are really concerned about it.
This is a budget meeting, from what I understand.
Okay.
And so they have a list of projects for Los Osos regarding water, or probably, I don't even know what else they have in it, and so we're just throwing support that if it's money for the well, money for the sewer thing, money for whatever to help Los Osos, we support all of that.
Okay.
You
Sounds
know.
good. If you can find out, sure.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely will. I'll find out tomorrow and pass it on to everybody. So if this is a motion for supporting the budget project or budget list of projects, was there a second to this motion?
Well, isn't the motion how we can support the CSD in using or obtaining CARES money? I mean, Larry and Trish are to find out how to do that. I mean, that's the motion, right?
The
But
motion,
isn't it more than CSD money? Wasn't it sewer money? I heard was in there too.
how about I alternate, I adapt the motion to say this is a motion that we find out what is needed to support and how best to support whatever we can to help this CARES money budget negotiations, or, go
For Los Osos.
for Los Osos. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the motion. Still clumsy.
Yeah. Hi, Deborah.
I think that I see Ray. Ray has a hand
Hang
up.
on. Deborah's.
Hang on.
No,
first,
but
Deborah.
Ray has been having a hand up
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I
for a
getting
long
it?
Go
time.
ahead, Deborah. We'll take Ray next.
Okay, I just want to comment very quickly for clarification. The CARES money is very specific, and a lot of the money is going towards broadband. It is not going towards roads and bridges. Water, however, is one of the things that is specified for the CARES Act. This particular money, the 55 million, there is a portion that is to go towards water projects of some kind. So I am concerned what Julie said about the county's going to pay themselves back. I'd like to, connect with her and learn more about that because, I think there is a chance that they would just take all the money for the water and pay themselves back, and then we wouldn't get anything funded. So I'd like to, but anyway, just for clarification, broadband, I'm sure you are aware that that's a lot of where this money is going because it's part of the Recovery Act, but water is also a part of it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have Ray. Larry, we have Ray.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Ray.
Okay, I wanted to wait till the end here. Back in December, Bruce Gibson was interviewed by the New Times, and it was back on December 3rd, it was published. And he was quoted in an answer to the question, do the water purveyors have the commitment to make the investments in to secure the basin? And I said, or he said, that's their responsibility. I'm there to work cooperatively with them to do this, but they have to do it. And they need to do things that are unpopular potentially. I asked him, what specifically might those unpopular things be? And he said his comment generally referred to the fact that the water purveyors will have to figure out where to put and how to fund the infrastructure they need to secure the water supply for existing customers and for what future development will be allowed. And it said the Los Osos Community Service District already has seen some controversy in this siting of a new well. The purveyors will also have to determine who pays for what and that can be unpopular. Please note that all new development will pay for the cost of developing new and sustainable service connections. And LOCSD has already done a lot to fund that work to secure existing connections. But basically his position is he's there to work with the purveyors, but it's on their back, evidently, as according to him, as to how they're going to do it and where the money's coming from. And I just wanted to give that perspective of this communication I had with him. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay, Ray, thanks very much. That goes along with what my concerns are too, but yes, thank you for bringing that point up. I see Deborah's got her hand up again.
Oh, sorry. Oy.
So Ray, that's such a good point. And in fact, that has apparently been the position of the county. But my perspective as a new member of Locac is that 50% of the users of the basin water are on unmetered wells. And the county represents that population, that 50%. So my question is, county, what are you going to do to add to the infrastructure, remove the nitrates, and do the things that have to be done to preserve the basin? Because all the financial responsibility right now is being put on the purveyors, but the purveyors are only 50% of the water users. So that's, you know, again, I'm just getting started here. I don't have any answers. I'm just telling you, this is my understanding of the situation.
He didn't indicate to me that, you know, the county was going to be doing anything. He said that it was on, basically stated that it was on the back of the water purveyors.
That
Yeah, but
sounds right, just like the
we
county.
need to change that. We need to change that.
You're not gonna change it.
Well,
Okay, I'm
Not gonna
okay,
change.
one person at a time now. So Larry.
Okay, so a motion was made to support the budget thing on the 15th for the supervisors, you know, a way to communicate to them that the land use committee has concerns about the future of our water basin. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
1, 2,
Aye.
3, 4, 5,
Paul said aye.
6.
Oh.
6. Paul, we see you.
7.
Trish, I see you.
8.
Okay. 8. Okay. Any opposed or any neutral?
There's
I'm
7.
opposed.
I'm sorry, 7, because Julie's not voting for it and Robin is gone, and then we have.
So I'm a
Okay.
no, though. That makes me a no.
You're a
then.
no vote. A no
Yes.
vote. Not just abstaining. A no vote.
I'm a no.
So we're 7-1.
Make sure my name's in that.
Okay. Good. And then that gets us to the first step. I like Lisa Danker's thing of how Deborah was able to divide it up into 3 statements. But I'm going to have to work on that. My brain is spinning too much tonight. Unless anybody else has any motions or things about the letter or anything. I see Yale has her hand up and Lindy has her hand up.
Just wanted to mention that the letter that we wrote before should be and can be included. No, let's not just throw it away. Whatever we supporting can be in addition to what we expressed last time. We already discussed that.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely go over that letter.
Okay.
And then Lindy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and I would like to propose that we draft a rough draft of a letter showing our concerns about the basin so that it can be looked at our next meeting, which would go to the county and the planning department as about limiting too much new growth.
Okay, that's good. I don't think that needs to be in a motion or.
Well, I wanted to
when that help.
we can get it done and get it presented at the next meeting so we can have something to discuss about it, because it's a pretty simple point that I think we can draft a letter.
Lindy, would you be willing to work on that?
Yes, I would.
Okay, maybe Maybe there's a few of us, maybe would Deborah, would you be willing to talk to us about, what you've learned for us to put something together for now, this second letter that was just a general letter that we want to prepare for in the future to send?
I had
So I'm happy
volunteered
to
for that.
contribute where I can, but I just want you
Yeah,
to know that
yeah.
I'm really just learning,
Okay.
and there's a lot that I don't know. So where I can help, I will help, but I would leave it to more to committee members who have more history here than I do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Sue, Lynette, and Lindy were gonna, three of them were gonna help work
Oh,
on
cool.
it.
Lynette and Lindy, that's two of them.
Two of them, okay.
Okay, cool.
And keep me in the loop on everything that goes on, please.
So is there a second on that, or?
So there's a second on Lindy's motion for the three of them to come up with a draft letter, for the two of them to come up with a draft letter. Well, three, it's me
Sure, I'll
too.
second it.
We need, yeah.
For next Locac meeting,
Okay. Was a
which
second.
might coincide with the CSD or not, but we'll find out. Second, so all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Paul, there's Paul. That's 4, 7. There's 7. And I guess we'll take Julie's vote as a
I know, I know.
Yeah, we got you, Julie. Don't worry. Good. So if with all of that done, is there any other comments or things people want to say? Otherwise, I'm going to call this meeting to a close. I think we did very good. We covered a lot of territory. I will sometime in the future contact the basin management and the water purveyors for their ideas and thoughts of the future and what they're thinking of, and maybe make a presentation for us. So we'll all have a better idea of what the future is going to look like. Have them look into their crystal ball and see. Lindy, your hand's up.
Just a reminder that the basin management meeting is the 16th at 1:30.
Okay.
Everybody should catch it. It's a very interesting meeting, and we could learn a lot by hearing what their chore is.
And ask question then.
Yes,
Send
that's
directly to them.
they're the people
Yeah.
managing our basin.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So a meeting is adjourned. Everybody, thank you very much for participating and
Thank you.
joining in.
Thanks,
And-
public, for joining us.
Yes, thank the public for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.